Good morning, it's time for SENBEN. Today I would like to share my thoughts based on the Tenrikyo teachings of a thing lent, a thing borrowed. According to this teaching, our bodies are lent to us by God. In other words, our bodies do not belong to us. We are just borrowing them, and only our minds belong to us. To be honest, in everyday life, I hardly think about the fact that my body is not my own. I think it's easy to forget, because we tend to strongly associate our bodies with our identity. For example, on our passport or on other forms of ID, we tend to have photos of our face. People I know recognize me for what I look like, and it's also how I identify other people. We tend to talk about familiar faces rather than familiar minds. But actually, the face we see on our ID, in the mirror or anywhere else, is not us in a real sense. It's what we are borrowing from our Creator, God the Parent. Because we are so closely linked to our body, it's natural to think that the body is part of us, but actually it's more like a vessel, or clothes that our mind is dressed in. In other words, we are not our body, we are our mind. So why did God lend us this body? Why do we need a body? I guess one way of looking at it is that it enables us to interact with the world around us. Thanks to this body, we are able to do many things. We can see with our eyes, hear with our ears, and smell with our nose. We can taste with our tongue and communicate with our mouth. We can express our thoughts and ideas through gestures, facial expressions. We can even sing or dance. We are taught that God enables us to do these things so that we could build together a world of joy. By interacting with each other, by helping each other, we can create a world of mutual happiness. We can use the body lent to us in any way we like. This is a good thing, but it also means we can use it in a way that can make others and ourselves unhappy. Like I mentioned earlier, it's easy to forget that the body is not ours, and we may take it for granted. I think we are living in an interesting time since thanks to technology, we have even more ways to connect with the world around us. We can use things like our smartphones and computers to do so many things. Right now, I am recording myself with my phone to transmit my thoughts to people I may never meet in real life. I talked about how our body, our face, is strongly linked to our identity. But these days, many people I interact with will never see my actual face. On some digital platforms, we use a virtual body to interact with the virtual world. In many video games, we control a character or sometimes an avatar, which represents us within that virtual space. In some of these virtual worlds, we can interact with actual people who are on the same platform. The digital world is no longer just inside a computer or a digital device. It is a massive community that connects people all over the world. In various social media platforms, people often only see our words and ideas and not our physical body. In some ways in this modern age, I feel it is easier to realize that our mind is who we are, not our body. I think you could say that in the modern world, our body is not just flesh and bones but also extends to various virtual presence we have in all sorts of digital platforms. These platforms grant us even more ways for us to interact with the world. But I believe the same rule applies. We are lent these digital wonders by God, and it is lent to us to create a world of joy. In the news, we sometimes hear of people attacking others online through horrible words and nasty threats. It can make people physically ill, and unfortunately some end up taking their own life. How we behave in a virtual world is not regulated in the same way that our physical behavior is. However, in the eyes of God, I feel it's the same. I feel we should act with kindness and consideration for others, not just in the physical world, but in the digital world too. God lent us our bodies and many other things to enable us to interact with each other. I would like to remind myself to be grateful for these blessings, so that we can build together a world of joy. That's it for my talk. Thank you very much for listening. Hope you have a nice day.